What's up, Dragon Brood? Welcome to Hidden Gems number 2. Y'all seem to really like the first one, so I figured I would do another one here and see how y'all take to this because, you know, it's a little bit of something different. And I want to address something here. I had a couple people say, well, why are you showing only like low value cards and this, that, and the other? I said, it's not only low value cards. It's about cards that people are likely to have hidden in their collections that are still worth something. And I gave a long response to a viewer, and if I remember, I'll try to put it on screen here, but basically, there are people who every day sell bulk rares to these big vendors for 7 cents a piece, 5,000 count boxes at a time. If they're willing to sell those at 7 cents a piece, then cards that I'm showing them that are worth 50 cents, 25 cents, $1 are totally going to be worth their time to get rid of. So that's all I'm saying. Plus, this is an awareness thing. Not everybody's going to sell stuff that, you know, they find out is worth money. Some of them just want to know. They can put it in a trade binder. They could trade that to somebody. They can use it as filler. They can go to their local store and maybe exchange it for an extra 25% over whatever and get some cards for their commander deck, right? There's a lot of reasons we show these prices. So if y'all want to come along for the ride, learn some things, maybe get surprised a little bit, let's get to it. Alright, now for starters, actually let me take these off real quick. Alright, so for starters, I want to talk about actually, you know what? I think on the next one, I might actually open this up to cards or to things that aren't necessarily cards. I think that would actually be pretty interesting too, because there's other cool items that maybe y'all would want to learn about. But anyway, and on this one, we're going to start with Shards of Alara, and this is a set from a few years ago. And so yeah, there's a good chance if you're a newer player to Magic, you may not own a bunch of these, especially the rares or whatever. However, there is a ton of money hidden in the commons and uncommons, particularly the lands in this set. Now I know that's a thing you may not think much of, but some of these lands, like the Tri-lands, being the like Jungle Shrines and whatever, Arcane Sanctum I think was one of the other ones, right? These will go anywhere between like 35-ish cents up to as much as $2. Like, people don't really know that. Like, these are uncommons in the set, and they go into a ton of commander decks, a bunch of kitchen table players like these. These are very popular and actually worth a real amount of money. But that's not the only thing here we want to talk about. There's also the set of 5 panoramas, which you can sacrifice and go get a basic of each of those 3 colors, where you go as high as about $1.50. So the upper end isn't as high as the Tri-lands, but they do actually carry a real dollar value. So this is the type of stuff that if you were to have been gifted a bulk of just Shards of Alara stuff, well, you're going to have a bunch of these in there, and these are going to be worth a reasonable amount of money. Not saying you're going to go get rich on them, but hey, good filler stuff if you're looking to fill out a mail order to a big retailer or something. All right, another group, I should say, of cards we want to talk about here are more recent, much more recent actually, from Ikoria. And these are the Triomes. And the reason I bring the Triomes up is each of these is probably going to get you somewhere around $10 plus, some of them 12, 13 bucks. And these are cards that, like, while they were standard legal, they were $5 or $6 and pretty, I would say, fairly popular. But as time has gone on, these have actually ended up being worth even more. So yeah, and part of the reason is people are starting to go to events and starting to go to their local stores. Feel about that however you want, but just saying it's a thing, and people are starting to play more modern, and these are getting played in modern. So yeah, kind of the thing we thought was going to happen with them eventually kind of happened. So now we're there. So this is another group of cards that maybe you played a lot of standard. These got transitioned out of standard. You never got to do anything with them. Well, fear not. These are actually worth real money, like significant money, that you can trade these and get real stuff. And they're on virtually everyone's buy list right now. All right, next up we have Treasure Map. And this is one from Ixalan, I believe. And this is one that actually had about a window of, I don't know, 2 years maybe, where you could have picked it up for $2 or $3. Now it goes north of $5. And it spiked somewhere around February, March earlier this year. But this card is actually another one that I see in bulk stuff all the time. And this was never really bulk to begin with. I mean, like I said, it's always commanded or $2 or $3 value. But it seems to be one that people just gloss over or forget it was a thing. But for that matter, I would say all the double face cards, you'd be surprised how much some of them go for. So if, you know, the artifacts that turn into the rare lands that mimic old cards or whatever, check those out if you have some, because they're all worth pretty good money. Well, most of them. But regardless, as a group, they're going to be worth more than you actually thought they were. So go check those out. That's a good way to find some money in Ixalan, which a lot of people kind of glossed over as having value. And I have a feeling in this series, there's going to be a lot of cards in Ixalan and Rivals of Ixalan we're going to come back to, because there's a lot of value in those two sets. Now, this one, Empress Galleon, really don't know. All I can figure is this has something to do with Commander. I haven't even encountered it or seen people playing with it, but I have no doubt, because of the words on it, that it steals legendary things. Probably gets played in Commander. Now, I will say, this has been trending up since somewhere around early to mid 2019, and then kind of been on a steady rise. But now this thing's going to cost you about $20. I will admit, this was never really cheap for a long time. It's always costed you, at least $5 or $6, but now it's more than doubled in price and tripled and quadrupled, and now it's pretty hard to get your hands on in a lot of ways. So this is more of like, hey, if you just got gifted some random old cards, go dig through some stuff. This isn't so much of just like the hidden gem. This is more of like, hey, you might just be surprised that this is worth more than you thought it was. And here's another one, an Aetherflux Reservoir, that actually hasn't ever been just true bulk, but has been fairly cheap for a while, but slowly but surely has been creeping its way up. Even as recent, I guess as far back as like 2018, you've been able to pick these up for probably about $250 or so at most of your local stores. But now, for whatever reason, just slowly but surely, these last couple of years, it's been creeping up, and now you're having trouble finding them below $10. A lot of places are already over $12. So this card is one you really should keep an eye on and go back through your stuff. And again, if you were playing paper before the pandemic, there's a good chance you have some of these somewhere, and they're now, well, I guess 4 times the value they were before the pandemic. So yeah, there you go. That's one that really surprised people. And I think there's a lot of cards like that. This is almost like a case study of things that happened during the pandemic, where a card was kind of okay, usable here or there, but as more people came into the game and more people tried to collect, pick up things, get caught up on stuff they missed or whatever, maybe even saw some video or some decks from things at time and they want to recreate those. Like, there's a lot of random things that are pushing values of cards up, and this is one of those ones that was a recipient of those efforts. ElectroDominance is another one that hangs out in bulk boxes and bulk bins a lot, but this one isn't. It's a $2 card. I don't know why it hangs out in bulk, but it's definitely not. And this is an example of where a card in Standard got almost no play, right? People tried to squeeze it into some fringe decks, but it almost never showed up anywhere. But as time goes on, it finds its way into like a fringe Pioneer deck and maybe a fringe Commander deck, and then starts becoming a fun card in Commander. And then before you know it, a card that used to be 50 cents or a buck ends up being $2 and $3. So like, do I think this card could go higher? I do, actually. I think this is the type of card that has room in something like Commander to be used a bunch of different ways and possibly find a home in some, not even in a particular deck, actually. It just has general uses. Now, is it super popular? No, but it's also one that people, I think, have forgotten about to a large extent, because again, this is one I see in bulk product all the time. So yeah, these are magically $2. Go dig up some of your old Ravnica stuff. Not even old Ravnica, like new Ravnica, and this is actually still worth money. So yeah, go check your bulk boxes out. So yeah, that's it. That's all I have for this episode of Hidden Gems. I do want to ask, though, if you'd be so kind, leave me a comment letting me know if you just want to know about just Magic cards. Are you interested in supplies, and ancillary paraphernalia, just anything that could have extra value, or maybe could be a surprise that maybe you own and don't know it's worth money, or maybe you've seen somewhere and isn't worth money. Because the thing about Magic the Gathering, it's vast. I mean, we're at almost a 30-year anniversary of the game, and there's been so many things, everything from jackets, backpacks, sunglasses, you name it, right? We've had a bunch of things that have had Magic or Wizards of the Coast logos on them that actually also are worth money, not just cards. So let me know what you're into. Maybe cards are the only thing that matter to you, and we can keep talking about that too. I have no problem either way. I'm just curious that those of you that kind of are becoming fans of this new series, what you're interested in seeing. But otherwise, please remember to like, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. Be sure to hit the all notifications thing on the notification bell. But that's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time. Why'd I do finger guns?